children behave. That's what they say when we're together. And watch how you play. They don't understand, and so we're running just as fast as we can, holding on to one another's hand, trying to get away into the night. And then you put your arms around me and we tumble to the ground. And then you say, I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. Look at the way we gotta hide what we're doing. 'Cause what would they say if they ever knew? And so we're running just as fast as we can, holding on to one another's hand, trying to get away into the night. And then you put your arms around me and we tumble to the ground. And then you say, I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now. Doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now. Doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now. Doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now. Doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now.
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned.
If it's late on a Thursday night, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to a special bonus edition of the I'm No Joe podcast. There are no UFC fights at all this weekend because it's America's birthday. Birthday, America. There are some combat sports, and ironically enough, on America's birthday weekend, they are over in England on Saturday morning. If you are going to be up early or out doing your grilling, there's something you can watch while you're out there doing that. But otherwise, there are no major combat sports going on over 4th of July weekend, which does kind of suck a little bit. Some punchy kicky with my explosions would have definitely made my weekend better, but we will survive without it. That being said, we are now 2 long and painful fucking weeks removed from the UFC Freedom 250 card, and I guess there was a bit of confusion. I should have been a little more clear about it. I wanted no part to play whatsoever, even though I am just a nobody. I wanted zero to do with helping them promote that card at all. I did not talk about it on the show. I did not include it in my combat sports menu for that week. I did not do any live reactions to any of the finishes for that card whatsoever. I refuse to help them promote that, but that's just how I feel, and I didn't, I guess, express that as clearly as I should have, as much as I wanted to. I just didn't want to give it that much attention during the show. So I figured, with no fights to talk about this weekend, what better time than to take a minute here and look back on the event as a whole and see where we go with all of the results that we did get from that event. So before we jump into everything over there, first and foremost, how you doing over there, Hotshot?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm happy to be here talking about some fights. I would rather it be, future fights that are going to be, in the next couple of days, but
Right.
we're talking about fights nonetheless.
Very true. Golf T is, I don't remember if he is leaving this evening or if he's leaving at like the ass crack of dawn tomorrow, but they're doing a camping trip for 4th of July weekend. So he's either on the road right now or he's leaving like in a couple of hours. So he's not going to be here. I do have a short video from him with his thoughts on the matter. Slowbake should be here in a little while. There was a wreck on his way home. He's not involved in a wreck, but there was a wreck on the course of his way home that he has to navigate around, and he is Flintstoning it up, so it's going to take him a little longer than usual. I've got his video with his thoughts on it as well. We will run those down here in a second, and then Flintlock and I will give our thoughts. And then once we give our thoughts on the event as a whole, we will go ahead and break down where we think we're going to go with all the fighters, both winners and losers, because there was only 7 fights, so it's not going to take us that long. But there were some interesting results that could lead to some potentially interesting matchups in the future here. So we'll get into that here in just a minute. So that being said, let me pull up. We will start with Slowbake's video here for you fine folks.
So UFC 250 as a motherfucking whole, pretty goddamn fantastic. In my opinion, one of the most spectacles, or the best spectacles we've ever seen the UFC put on. Shit was unbelievable from top to bottom in the presentation, the performance of it. We had a couple lackluster fights. O'Malley getting a win on a half-ass knockout like always expected. Bo Nickel really went out and fucking threw on a slog, even if he gets the fucking win. But man, everything else other than that, fan-fucking-tastic. Amazing fucking knockouts from Mauricio Rufy, Justin Gaethje, in the fucking night in a rocky moment, giving America a fucking championship, beating the shit out of the undefeated cocky-ass kid. Nobody thought it would happen. Fantastic. America through and through. A lot of people had other fucking opinions. I'm proud to be a goddamn America. Fuck the government. Goddamn, were those some fun fucking fights. Past couple weeks, real rough since then. We got to get back to that on a regular basis. Even if we get one fight night a month, give us some good shit like those fucking White House fights.
So I was asked about my thoughts on UFC 250. I'm going to keep this short, sweet, to the point. No more than a minute. Top to bottom, every fight had a finish. Solid as far as that goes. Was I thrilled with the outcome of the main event? Yes. Rooting for Gaethje is always a good time. Now, all politics aside and whatever other fuckery goes on with that, the one good thing that came out of that card was the amount of respect shown towards our veterans. Myself being a veteran, I greatly appreciate that, especially to those that are Medal of Honor recipients that were there. Those guys deserved every right to walk those fighters down cage side. To be honest, they're more, in my eyes, important than the fighters were themselves. And on a side note, a huge shout out to the Marine Corps band. They did a phenomenal job with the walkouts. And I was glad to see service members in their small amount of stands that they did have, so that was absolutely done to perfection. Outside of that, I'm going to leave all the politics out of it. I'm glad there was no judging involved. And I guess I did go over a minute, but whatever. Don't give a flying fuck. It's fine. The long and short of the matter is should it have been held on the White House lawn? Probably not. Was the card good? As far as the fights are concerned, yes. Was it the all great card they made it out to be? No. They did the same thing to us with UFC 300. But, I mean, Justin Gaethje made Pretty Boy Topuria look like everybody else. So, overall, I enjoyed it. Did I enjoy all the fuckery that went along with it and leading up to it? No. Was it the best card in the world? No. Was it great seeing finishes in every fight? Yes. But that's all I've got on this. Hopefully somebody else can put something to this, and hopefully it never happens again. Because to be honest, it should never have taken place there. And this has nothing to do with politics. That is, in my eyes, a sacred set of grounds that should not have fights being held on it. The only fights that should be happening should be in an arena somewhere. And obviously, side note to that, all the fights that happened outside, if you noticed, every one of those fighters looked pretty gassed in the first round. So definitely that heat, humidity, and everything else that goes with fighting outside definitely had an effect on all of the fighters. So take that as it were.
Yeah, it's funny because we watched at least part of the fights with friend of the show RJ, another fellow veteran. I have talked to several other friends of mine who are UFC fans and military veterans, and they all were very similar in their opinions with Galti there. So before I give my take, would you like to give your two thoughts on how the Freedom 250 unfolded as a whole for you?
I mean, I kind of echo the sentiments of both of them. Like, as a presentation, it wasn't bad. Should it have been at the White House? Fuck no. Why would you? Why? Why? Because you're Donald Trump? Why? Anyways, like Mr. Golf T said, the fact that they let, you know, active military or military veterans or people that have been awarded, you know, certain medals or whatever, people that, you know, have been in or were in the military, walk the guys down to the ring was cool as shit. When they walked Tyson Fury down to the ring was dumb as fuck. Why? Why put on that stupid ass show? The fights as a whole, I liked them. I mean, I didn't get to catch the Gaethje fight. You know, I had to go to bed because adulting was unfortunately what I had to do the next day. But I enjoyed the fights as a whole. Now, did they mean anything as a whole? Some of them did, some of them didn't. Did it need to be at the White House like they said? No, no, no. But yeah, as a spectacle of fights, I enjoyed the finishes. I enjoyed having fights to watch, basically.
I get that. The reason I let everybody else go first, if you've been watching my show any amount of time, you probably know where I'm going. This whole fucking thing felt gross to me. It felt like the most Americanized version of North Korean state propaganda that I have ever fucking seen in my life. Were there some good things about it? Absolutely. Them letting the Medal of Honor recipients walk the fighters to the ring, very much a good thing. The problem is when you put good things in the middle of a bad thing, it's like giving the old people a wheelchair as you wheel them down to the gas chambers in Auschwitz. That little good thing doesn't outweigh the whole bad thing that was happening. This should have never been on the White House lawn. This should have never been on Trump's fucking birthday. If this was about the America's 250th birthday, it should be this weekend. They could have even done it on Friday, and it would have still been 20 times bigger than it actually fucking was, and it would have actually meant something to everyone instead of just the elites and the few fucking chosen that got to actually be there and watch it. The fights as a whole, were they entertaining? Yes. Did they mean something? Fuck no. The only one that meant anything was the main event, and that was only meaning something because it went the opposite way that everyone expected it to go. Were there finishes in every fight? Absolutely. But look at every fucking matchup outside of this event. Not a one of them should have been on a quote unquote important or historic event, and not a one of them should have been put together the way that it was on this card. Yes, we've got some outcomes that we can work with from here, but having to have gone through that bootlicking bullshit propaganda machine for 4.5 fucking hours while they rolled military commercials and pro Dodge Ram Dana White commercials every single fucking break, and over the goddamn fights as a whole felt fucking gross. Did I watch them? Absolutely. Via Uncle Khabib's method is all I'm going to tell you, because you're not getting your fucking analytics off of me. I'm not helping them promote that in any fucking way or shape possible. Fuck everything about the Epstein 250. I fucking hate and I fucking resent to such a fucking level that it even happened. I don't have the vocabulary to accurately describe how fucking angry it makes me that we not only had to go through that, but now we have to go forward basing things off of that fucking event. So it's forever going to be tied into the fucking MMA history now, whether we like it or not. And in my opinion, you should not. Were there good things that happened? Yes, but the good did not even come close to outweighing the bad, in my opinion. That being said, there were 7 fights that took place on this card, and whether we like it or not, we have to go forward from here. And every one of those fights is going to have noticeable and undeniable ramifications going forward. So I thought, what better way to try to make the best out of a bad situation here than by figuring out where the fuck we can go from here. So we started right up at the fucking top. The very first fight of the night, Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia. Like I said, this one was like most of these fights, in my opinion, were set up for a very clear set of outcomes that they pretty much got all the way down the line, with the exception of the main event and Cyril Gane's elbows plus Herb Dean's lack of balls. But we'll talk about that more in just a little bit. So Diego Lopez got himself another finish at 45 after saying a million fucking times that he's done at 45, that he wants to go up to 155 pounds. The weight cut is a problem, and he doesn't feel like he's going to ever earn his way back to a title shot at 45, which is agreeable. He got his ass whipped by the fucking champion multiple times in a row. Definitively, there's no fucking questions asked, and Volk has the fucking belt again. So there's no reason to run that one back. So I agree. There's nothing that he can really do at 45. For that reason, in my opinion, I think he should go to 55. I don't think he should go anything crazy like immediate top 5 or title picture or anything like that. But I think there's a gentleman by the name of Grant Dawson who is currently ranked 14 and is allergic to boring fights. He breaks out in punches. And I think Grant Dawson versus Diego Lopez at 155 pounds would be a fucking spectacular matchup. It would show us where Diego really sits in terms of his weight, if he is really a big dude and he was just cutting too much, or if he is a real legitimate 55er, because Grant Dawson is a tall glass of water, to put it politely, but he does cut down to 55 from like 185-ish, 180-ish. He usually doesn't get too heavy, but he's still cutting some weight to get down to 55, especially as a tall fucking dude. So I think Grant Dawson, because he's also very well rounded, he's got good ground game, he's got good striking, similar to Diego, could make for an interesting matchup going forward, and also tell us if Diego is really meant to be in the UFC without giving him, or excuse me, not UFC, but lightweight rankings rather, without throwing him directly into the deep end and seeing if he can sink or swim with the boys who are established there.
I very much agree. I was going to say, you know, maybe 16, 17,
Dawson's
top
14.
20,
Yeah, Dawson's 14.
you know, but I could also see them throwing him in the deep end because he has been in the deep end multiple times.
Right, right.
Now,
Well,
did
and
he
not to
get his
mention,
ass?
there is also an asterisk there, considering that. I mean, I guess it's a double asterisk in this case because Max Holloway is at 55, getting ready to fight Connor at 170, but Max is staying at 55, assuming he doesn't fall in love at 170. Max is coming back to 55,
Right.
not 45. He's done down there. Same thing with Charles Oliveira, who was a featherweight for the better part of his career, is now very established and holding the BMF belt at 55. So there are some interesting matchups at the top. I agree. But I feel like those dudes, the top of lightweight right now, when you factor in Armin's still stuck on the sidelines, undeniably somewhere in that conversation. Now you have to
Mhm.
figure out, more from the main event, either way you look at it, because of how that one played out. So I would say the top 5 of lightweight is pretty much locked up solid. Giving him Grant at 14 or someone in that neck of the woods, I
Right.
think would be a great way to bring Diego both to 55 and see if he's going to be able to stay there and light a fire under the guys who are currently ranked there at 55 and say, yo, 45ers are coming up for your fucking spot. Keep it or lose it. It's all on you.
Right. Because I definitely agree with the not throwing him in the deep end. But like I said, I could definitely see them like
if they
giving
want to
him
get dick about it,
somebody. Yeah.
yeah, I
Like,
agree.
oh, all these guys are wanting to move up to this weight. Let's go ahead and give them what they want.
Which I will say, complete side note, I for one absolutely love how many fighters have come out in the last 2 or 3 weeks specifically and just said, you know what, weight cutting is fucking stupid. I'm moving up.
But see,
I've
that's
cut too much too long. Let's do it really. So
I've had that thought legitimately, like sitting here, like, what if they start just giving people the top 5 to fight as soon as you cut up, especially if you've done well in your previous class? Give you a top 5 guy to say, oh, wait, maybe I shouldn't be in this weight class.
that's kind of what they did with light heavyweight for a while. About, I think it was like 21 or 22. There was a surge of middleweights that decided that they didn't like cutting down to 185 pounds, that they all walked somewhere around 200, 205 pounds. And a couple of them in a row, Luke Rockhold tried it, and they gave him Jan Blachowicz, who was like number 3 at the time. And Blachowicz beat the shit out of him. Israel Adesanya tried it when Jan Blachowicz had the belt. They were going to give him champ, opportunity for Izzy to go up and get the potential double belt. And Jan Blachowicz beat the shit out of him. There were Rakic was 185 for a brief window there, came up, actually did well at 205. So it showed that there was, the opportunity to do it and do it successfully. But it
Right.
seems like light heavyweights going up to heavyweight, and then like 45ers going to 55, and there's a couple of 55ers who have gone to 70 now, Max and Connor specifically, as well as a couple others. But then also some 70s going up to 85. Kamaru Usman taking on DDP at middleweight in Oklahoma next month. I'm here for all of it. I'm here for every fucking bit of it. And Diego's been saying for a minute now, he's done at 45, and then they made him fight at the fucking White House, the Mexican guy, the Mexican Brazilian guy. They make him fight at the White House against an American Mexican guy at 45, but Diego got it done. So I think that should be enough. They called him when they needed him. He showed up when they needed him. He gave a big fucking finish on a giant fucking stage. Let the man go to 55.
Do they ever have, and forgive me for, my ignorance in the contracts area, but do they ever have like weight locking contracts? Like you have to fight at 45 or 55.
I don't know for a fact that they have them locked in like that, but I do know that several fighters who have gone up in weight class, not just recently, but over the last couple of years at least, several of them who have gone up in weight class made a point to talk about it after the fact, that they went up in weight after they negotiated a new contract, because their original contract was set out for so many fights at a different weight, and then going up in weight, they would be facing more challenge. And so they negotiated a new contract for them moving up in weight. I don't know that it's specifically locked in two weights, but we have heard from some of the females, because they've got the smallest amount of weight classes, period. We've heard from some of the females say that they got signed to fight at 45, and then the UFC got rid of the 45 division without giving them a new contract. They just told them there is no more of that division. You can either fight at the next division down, or we can release you. So there's nothing set in stone, but it's been heavily implied from some of the fighters that what you get signed for is kind of where you're stuck, which is kind of why guys like Brian Ortega, guys like Diego Lopez, who signed in at 45 when they were younger and it was easier for them to cut more weight, have now gotten to the point where they're like, yo, I'm a little older, I'm a little bigger, I know weight cutting a little better now, I don't want to cut that much. But they keep getting pigeonholed into shots like this. Same thing happened with Brian Ortega his last time out. He wanted a 55 fight for how many fucking years now, and they keep giving him only 45 offers. And with the UFC contract, as we know, they have to offer you 3 a year. If you don't take those 3 a year, that's on you. If they don't offer you 3 a year, then they have to pay you. So it's definitely a key UFC strategy in, yeah, we get that you want to move up, but this is the fight we're going to offer you, because if you deny it, even though you want to go up, you're still denying a fight that we offered you. That's on you.
Okay.
It's dirty cool, but it's kind of how
Yeah.
we've seen them do it.
That's kind of fucked up, but yeah, I get it.
And on the other side of that, Steve Garcia, I almost felt bad for Steve Garcia, because he was absolutely a sacrificial fucking lamb of many that we'll talk about here. He was not ready for a Diego Lopez who showed up on point, ready to fucking go. Steve Garcia just isn't at that level. He's a good dude. I got nothing against him. He's definitely had some interesting and some good fucking fights, but he just, anybody that knows baseball, so to speak, could give that fight the eyeball squint and go, no, that's definitely a fucking teeter-totter. They set that up for Diego to just knock that fucking thing out of the park, and he did. So I do think that Steve should stay at featherweight. He doesn't need to move up. He's good at featherweight, but I do feel like he's going to need to fight somebody. I don't want to say he's got to fight down, because they've got him at 12, but he's got to fight down. Diego is ranked number 2, and he just beat your ass. Like, you have to fight down. You can't fight back up again at this point. I don't really think Pico would be a good one. I think Joe Anderson Brito might be an interesting one. Let me check. I don't believe that they have fought. Let me 100% it real quick. They have not fought. Perfect. Joe Anderson Brito needs a big fucking win or a big performance. Steve Garcia is coming off a loss at the fucking White House. Tomato, tomato. Everybody leaves happy. Yeah, I think that's about the best, because I don't think you can give him Aaron Pico. I think Aaron Pico's in the process of moving up as he fucking
Yes,
should.
definitely. Aaron Pico would dog walk this guy.
Yeah, and Steve's already on a bounce back, so I don't think that would be fair.
Right.
Don't feed him to somebody you know is gonna fucking hand him his ass after he's coming off and getting his ass handed to him on the White House lawn as a United States citizen. That's already enough salt on the fucking wound. So yeah,
Right.
Brito, I think, plays out all the way around for a good answer there. Let's see. Oh fuck, that's right. I forgot about that. That brings us to Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dawkins. Lather, rinse, repeat from the opening fight, minus the weight cut situation. Bo Nickel is good at 185, but Kyle Dawkins was 100% a fucking lamb to slaughter. Brought in there for Bo to get a finish on, and he fucking did. That being said, Bo still should get to move up. Maybe not a bunch, but Bo should definitely get to move up coming off of that win. They've got him at 13 now. I would like to see him fight Jared Cannonier. Cannoneer doesn't have the greatest hands. He can hit like a fucking truck, but he doesn't have the greatest boxing. Neither does Bo. We've clearly seen it. But Cannoneer is a great fucking wrestler, so Bo's not going to be able to just grab him and take him down.
Right.
I think it would be a good test of where Bo actually stands outside of the rushed fights to try and build him up. I think Cannoneer would be a pretty good level up, and it's just 11 versus 13, so there's not a big loss if it doesn't work. He would stay relatively where he is, essentially, if he loses.
Who's 10?
10 is Ikram Alaskarov, who just fought last weekend.
Because I was gonna say maybe just like right inside the top 10.
Well, that's the problem, is we've got Ikram, who just fought last weekend and did fucking great, and then right above him is RoboCop, who's booked to fight in a little over a month in China.
Right.
And then above him is Izzy, who he's not getting Izzy. There's just no fucking way. He's not going to get the Izzy fight. And then Fluffy above him, who just got booked. Kai Baralho above him, who's booked. Brendan Allen above him, who just lost, and I'm not giving him 5. So, you know what I mean? The only other real option would be to give him Abus, who, again, just fought last weekend, or Paulo Costa, who isn't there anymore. He moved up to light heavyweight. So, either that or Christian Leroy Duncan, who fights in 2 weeks. So, yeah, I think it's got to be Cannoneer. I think it makes sense. The wrestling is there, so it's not going to be one-sided. Neither one of them are great strikers, but both can hit pretty hard. Could balance out fairly well for both of them and show us, exactly where they both still sit.
They both got a puncher's chance, but they make their money on the ground.
Yeah. And then on the other side of that is Dawkins, who I'm 99% sure was unranked even coming into this fight and is not ranked currently, as he should not be. I think at this point, you've got to give Kyle Dawkins like a card opening prelim fight on like an Apex card, like the fight opening or the event opening first fight of the night against a debuting fighter, against somebody making their debut in the UFC. Because if he can't handle something like that at this point, there's no more reason for him to be here. He's already unranked. He's getting beaten by dudes who are barely ranked. There's not much further down you can go from there. I think you give him a debuting fighter. Maybe if you want to be grateful or gracious to him, you give him a debuting fighter on short notice, even so that it's somewhat closer to fair. But I think that's about the only real option at this point for Kyle Dawkins.
Yeah, I mean that does make a lot of sense. I didn't have a lot of on Mr. Dawkins. Every time I hear his name, it's not attached to a W. So
no. So moving on from there to, again, lather, rinse, repeat. If you squint at Mauricio Hoofy versus Michael Chandler, Stevie Wonder probably could have picked that one correct. Hoofy came out and gave us another fucking spinning back kick, and Michael Chandler got hit like he does. He shows up and he hypes moments, but Chandler, I believe at this point, is 2-8 in the UFC. So we'll talk about Hoofy first, because Hoofy's obviously got to go up. He's been at the top now, and he just put on a hell of a fucking performance. Let's see. Where do they have him ranked? He is 10 now. So I think we've got 2 options for Hoofy here. I think either A, you give him Moicano, because Moicano is only 7. That's just 3 up, but he's also one of the only dudes in that next couple that aren't booked right now.
right.
Or you give him the winner of Patty and BSD this weekend. Or next weekend, rather, at 329.
I would almost much rather see that.
Because I get that Patty is angling for the Ilya fight next if he wins against BSD, and there is history there, so that would make sense. But that history is also not going to go anywhere. They can make that fight in a minute when Ilya is actually ready to come back. that's not even on the table right now. So I would think the winner of BSD versus Patty is, it's going to be 9 versus 5. I think coming up from 10, getting the winner of 9 versus 5, or even if you want to
Yeah.
give him the loser of that one, and then let whoever wins try and work their way into that title convo. I don't think that would be a bad option either, because I think at this point, Hoopy deserves to fight up. I don't think he should have to
Definitely.
fight down to hold his spot. After a big win on, I say with air quotes, a big win on a big stage, he definitely should fight up. I think I would personally give him the winner, but I could also see the UFC playing it as the loser of that fight gets to fight down against Hoofy coming up either way. So
Well, because I could also see them loser fight, and then after that, get your shot at the top 5.
right. Well, and you also have to factor in that Hanato is pretty clear about, Moicano wants money. He doesn't want hard fights. He only wants easy fights. Hoofy is not an easy fight for anybody right now. So I don't know that Moicano would even take that if they offered it to him, just because Moicano wants money and he's got no problem doing his podcast. So it might really only be the winner or loser from the Patty and BSD
Right.
fight. So I think it would play out either way that they played that one, really. If they give him the winner or the
Yeah.
loser, I think that would be the right way to go for him, in my opinion.
Fuck around, give him the loser, and then turn around, give him the winner.
Right. The other side of that coin, though, I mean, I think we have to go real similar with Chandler here that we were talking about with Dawkins. You can't fucking put him on a main card anymore. You just fucking can't. He's literally like 2-7 or 2-8 now. You can't put him on a fucking main card anymore. His name doesn't bring the eyes that it might have when he first got signed. It's just not a reality anymore. I think you pretty much got to do the same thing with him. You want to keep him around, cool. Give him the premier prelim fight on an Apex card, or give him a second fight in on a fucking Apex card against a dude coming off the Contender Series, or against a guy making his debut from KSW or something, from coming from somewhere else. I think at this point you're out of fucking strikes, man. Like, if you can't stop a dude making his debut at this point, we don't need you here either. There's more than enough 55ers to say the fucking least. That's one of the deepest divisions in the UFC right now.
Why is he okay? So we've watched people that have double or triple the wins that this man has, and have winning records, and get fucking cut. Why is he still here?
Because he goes by the Cowboy Cerrone playbook. It does not matter who the opponent is, how close or far the date is. When Hunter Campbell calls him, he says, yes, send the paperwork. So they can put him where they need him, when they need him, how they need him, when they have to fill a hole. And because he still has a recognizable name now, unfortunately, as a dude who gets knocked out by everybody, they can still use that name whenever they need to slap a Band-Aid on a card that's really eaten dog shit by the spoonful. And then there's a Michael Chandler knockout in there that's going to make the card at least a little more entertaining for the folks that are only there for blood.
Right.
So, yeah.
I don't know. I could see them giving him a debut, but I mean, I understand he's a plug and play, but cut his ass.
I know. I agree. I absolutely agree. Realistically, they should send his ass back to PFL. But he gives Dana the old fondle and throat, and they keep giving him fucking fights even on giant platforms to fumble on. So,
Fuck a PFL, send his ass to bare knuckle.
right. But that being said, that brings us on to one of the biggest circus fucking events of the evening. Hokett versus Lewis.
No, never mind. Go ahead. My bad.
This fight should have never been made to begin with. Not only stylistically, timing wise, this fight should have never been made. If they wanted Derek Lewis on the card, they should have brought in fuck, I don't know who's sitting at the bottom of the fucking rankings right now. They should have brought in Ryan fucking Spann or Mick Parkin or somebody who's going to show up, look good, and let Derek beat the shit out of him. The fact that they gave him Hokett, who was clearly still in shape, and Derek Lewis was quite literally on the fucking couch when Dana White called him to tell him he was fighting at the fucking White House. It should have never fucking come to fruition. I don't feel like Hokett should be ranked 5 off of that fucking fight, but he is. I don't think that he should get to fight up because he's calling for a title shot or Alex Pereira, and I don't think he should get either one of those off of that bullshit. I think he should actually have to fight down, and I think you could go with anybody between him and 10. You could go Waldo Costa Cortez, make him fight Salsa Boy, make him fight Kuniev, the giant Russian wrestler, make him fight Curtis Blades, you know? Or no, Curtis Blades is the dude that he fucking got last time. Never mind. I was thinking that was Ryan Spann for some reason. So yeah, make him fight Sergey Spivak then. Make him fight the Russian polar bear. Like, there's some interesting options that will put up a lot more of a fight than Derek Lewis did and actually tell us where Hokett should realistically be in the heavyweight rankings instead of letting him use his fucking mouth and his bullshit fucking gimmicks to talk his way up into the fucking rankings.
USA in this hole for sure.
Right?
Like, I love Derek Lewis. But watching a grown man lay on his back and give up.
Yeah, that's
like
what I said.
you
he
watched.
should have never been in there. He should have never been in there.
You could watch him physically. It was like a switch flipped.
It was like the old Simpsons clip. You can spot the moment with pause exactly when his heart breaks. Like,
right.
You saw him decide, I'm done.
Not only was he not in the best shape to be fighting, like he obviously got up and started training as soon as he knew, but that was not enough time.
Yeah, too little, too late, and it showed.
And Josh Hokett as a whole can fuck all the way off. I would not be sad if the brakes gave out on his car.
Yeah. Josh Hokett is a bitch. Am I right, YouTube?
You can have all the opinions you want about people, but just shut the fuck up about it, bro.
Yeah,
stop saying all the stupid shit.
There's a reason Colby's gimmick stopped working very shortly after it started working, because that shit, especially that brand of shit, doesn't fucking work.
You're not Hulk Hogan. You're not Randy Savage. You're not Chael Sonnen. You're not. Just shut up, bro.
Yeah. No.
You fight. I mean, he has gotten some finishes in his fights, and for that, okay, that's cool. But I definitely, like you said, I don't think he should be fighting up. Definitely not a Pereira or a title shot.
Yeah.
Because I've got my own thoughts about the Pereira thing.
Right. On the other side of that, I don't think Derek should get cut for that, because no one in their right mind thought Derek Lewis was going to get off the couch in 2 weeks and become, a UFC fucking White House event saver, realistically. So I don't think he should get cut for anything like that. I do think he should still be in the rankings. It's a little bullshit that he's out of the rankings and Hokett is 5 after that fight. But
where was Derek sitting at?
I don't know, because they've erased it.
Damn it.
On Tapology, at least, he was number 6, I believe.
But the kick, damn, all the way out of the rankings.
Yeah, no, the UFC AI rankings are. We'll talk about that next Thursday on the show, because it's fucking atrocious. But yeah, that's a whole separate topic that we'll get into on a different show. But I also don't feel like you can automatically just throw him back in the top 5, top 10 even, really. Walter Walker's sitting at 11. He's been heel hooking everybody, but jiu-jitsu's not real for Derek Lewis.
Just stand up.
Walter Walker is very punchable. Very, very punchable. And he's also proven that if you hit him with a big shot, he flounders a little bit, which is perfect setup for someone like Derek Lewis, unless jiu-jitsu is real. And then Walter Walker's going to get like his 6th fucking heel hook in a row. But then we know that Derek doesn't need to be in the rankings and could potentially just be cut because he can't even keep up with a top 15 dude like Walter Walker. All the questions get answered in one match, and we don't even have to put it on a main card. It can absolutely be a fucking prelim fight somewhere, wherever.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely makes sense. I was gonna say like 18, maybe 19.
Well, that's the problem though, is again with the fucking rankings.
Right.
Like 15, 14, and 13 shouldn't be fucking ranked either. And Derek shouldn't have to fight somebody that far down as those dudes to get back up into the numbers. So that's why I'm thinking Walter Walker, he's sitting at 11, which is just inside that top 15. He shouldn't really be that high either. So giving Derek a favorable matchup to really give him a chance to come back at this point. I think he's about at the end of his favorable matchup train as well, especially considering he was hand-picked literally for this event and still shit the bed that hard. I think you can't really give him
Yeah.
too much higher than 11. And if he can't handle 11 at this point, then he gets, the same treatment we talked about earlier. Give him a debuting dude on the early card. And then if that don't work, USA out this hoe.
Right.
So that brings us to the People's Co-Main event. Again, Ayman Zahabi versus Sean O'Malley. Really? Ayman Zahabi has done so much to earn himself a fight with Sean O'Malley. Really? That was clearly set up specifically so Sean O'Malley could get himself another potential highlight finish, which is fucking stupid as it was. He did get that fucking turn to salute bullshit while Zahabi was still falling and probably shouldn't realistically have been stopped at that point, should have still been allowed to continue, but you could tell was clearly exactly what Sean had fucking planned. I mean, you can't give him a title shot. You just can't give him a fucking title shot off of that. Umar is right above him. Umar just got booked for the main event in Shanghai, so that one's out. He's fighting Song Yadong, who is 6, so you can't pull that one. I think the next thing to do, because you can't give him Marab's going to sit out, and it doesn't make sense for Sean versus Marab 3 to see him get his ass beat again. That just doesn't make sense. So we've got Corey Sandhagen versus Mario Batista coming up. That's 4 versus 5. The loser of 4 versus 5 then takes on O'Malley. By that point, Umar versus Song Yadong will have finished out, so we'll know how that one is. So that we will have everyone except for Marab, who is still number 1, figured out below him for the next 5 spots and where O'Malley actually belongs in that list without having to do any ridiculous rematches like giving him a title shot or making him fight Marab again. But I don't think he should have to fight. Like, he's going to have to fight down because everyone above him is either Umar, who's booked, or Marab. That's it. So he's going to have to fight down because he's not going to get a title shot off that. But I think giving him the winner, specifically because he's coming off of a win, giving him the winner of Sandhagen versus Batista makes the most sense. Him and Sandhagen should have fought a long fucking time ago, but somehow they both snaked away from each other throughout this whole fucking crazy journey. I have a sneaky suspicion Sandhagen's most likely going to take Mario Batista down and handle him. So potential matchup with Sandhagen versus O'Malley that's been long in the making could be a real good potential fit here. Or if Batista gets around Sandhagen and shows that he's top level, well, O'Malley's your final boss.
There we go.
Everybody wins.
That all sounds hunky-dory to me, but like watching that fight in particular felt like I was watching a WWE match.
It felt fucking scripted, man. Like down to the fucking turn and salute before homeboy had even hit the ground. Like it just felt fucking scripted, man.
Yeah, no, and As for him fighting up or down, like you said, everybody else is booked. But can we just put Sean O'Malley in timeout for a little bit?
I agree.
Just a little bit.
Absolutely
Just
agree.
go sit in the corner for 2 months.
Let me see something here real quick. I don't believe these two have fought, but let me confirm.
But the Sandhagen fight does sound
They have not.
good. Hold on.
So for some reason, the UFC, even after that fucking remarkably embarrassing loss, still has Ayman Zahabi ranked at 12. I don't agree with that, but if that's what they're going to do, and the UFC is going to stand by these new rankings, good, bad, or otherwise, he's got to fight down. That's for goddamn sure. You can't let him fight up off of that fucking hard loss.
Hell no.
Charles Jourdain is underneath him, but he's already booked. I think it's about time we see Ayman Zahabi versus Bryce Mitchell. The UFC is not going to get rid of Bryce. He's at 14. It's not really giving Bryce that much of a chance to move up, even if he does win. But Ayman Zahabi comes from one of the best gyms in the fucking world, from TriStar. His brother is, an athletic combat sports genius, time tested. Let's put that Zahabi jiu-jitsu against Arkansas jiu-jitsu to see who gets to stay. Make it a loser leaves town match. If Bryce can't handle Zahabi at the bottom of the fucking rankings, then he gets the same treatment as everybody else. Give him a prelim fucking debuting guy. If Zahabi can't get past Bryce fucking Mitchell, or what's left of him at this point, same fucking treatment. Give him a fucking debuting guy on the prelims, or send him on his fucking way.
Yeah, no, if he can't beat the poster boy for CTE, I don't know. It might be just bye time.
Yeah. So that brings us to one of the fucking aggravating points in the evening that we have to make for here. Cyril Gahn, and I say this with air quotes for those just listening, won against Alex Pereira to get the interim heavyweight belt. The amount of illegal strikes at this point that aren't even disputed by most people that are still arguing about this, nobody's really disputing the fact that there were illegal strikes landed. Numerous illegal strikes were landed. Some people are trying to justify them as the way that the strikes were thrown versus how they landed and the intention. Some people are trying to argue about where the strikes landed regardless of intention versus the clear foul lane for strikes to land under any circumstances. I am not arguing either of those. I am personally in the camp of Herb Dean has no functioning testicles, and he has lost his ability to command the fight. And the referee is there for the fighter's safety, first and foremost. And if you are no longer capable of intervening in a situation where a fighter's safety is clearly compromised by strikes that have been shown multiple times prior to the fight even starting to be illegal, you can't stop the fight. You can't even give a warning about clearly illegal strikes, and you can't take a point, at the very least, which should have been done after the 7th or 8th one. Herb Dean needs to no longer be refereeing. I don't care if the ABC needs to step in, or if every single individual state athletic commission needs to one by one stop giving him the fucking ability to be assigned to a UFC card. Herb Dean needs to be removed from the roster of referees used at the top level, at the UFC, at PFL, at every top level in every combat sports, period. He does not have the ability to step in when a referee needs to step in, and that was demonstrated in that fight. That being said, Cyril Gahn won the interim belt, so we know where he goes next. Now we have to figure out, based on that bullshit, where we go next with Alex Pereira. And two things are for certain, in my opinion. One, he's not going to get a rematch. They're going to make Tom versus Cyril now that Tom is cleared in training again. It's not going to happen till late into the year. I'm fairly certain if we get it by the end of this year, if we don't get it next year. But they're going to make Tom versus Cyril. It's unavoidable at this point. As much as no one wants it, that's what's going to happen. That being said, Alex has stated that regardless, he's going to stay at heavyweight. He's not going to go back down to 205. He's wanted to go to heavyweight since he was still fighting at 185 pounds. He's not going back. He's rebuilt this frame. He's going to stay at heavyweight. I'm totally cool with that. Fuck Josh Hogan. He does not get an Alex Pereira level fight off of his bullshit. So we've got a couple of options here. We give him Alexander Volkov, who would be a great stylistic matchup. They're almost the same size. They have very similar styles. Volkov is number 2. If Volkov decides he wants to hold out because he's clearly next in line after Tom and Cyril finish their business, I understand that as well. And right behind him, we've got Sergey Pavlovich, who's a big striker with a little bit of wrestling and decent movement and not the greatest gas tank in the world, very similar to Alex at heavyweight, apparently. That would be a perfectly fucking acceptable fight for me as well, because they've got Pereira sitting at 4 after that fight. I would give him 2 personally, give him Volkov, but Volkov at this point, given the landscape, in my opinion, has the option to say, no, I'm going to sit and wait to see how Tom and Cyril plays out because I'm next. I've earned my spot. He has the right to do that at this point. I get that. But if he does, Pavlovich is next and he is not booked right now. Sergey Pavlovich versus Alex Pereira. I promise you, it shouldn't, but it could absolutely main event an Apex card. It should be like a co-main event or like a people's co-main event on a numbered card coming up. Because that fight could still be made before the end of the year. So you could absolutely put that as like a co-main event under a title fight or a co-main event on an Apex card. Like you could put that somewhere where it could get more eyes than a fucking, regular bullshit thrown away fight would be. I don't think you make Alex fight down in that situation because Hoket's next. They've got Hoket at 5 and fuck him. And I don't think you should make Alex fight Costa. I think Hoket should have to deal with that. Kuniab is booked. I don't think Alex versus Curtis Blades makes any fucking sense for him to have to fight that far down. I think Volkov, unless he sits out, or Pavlovich if he does sit out, I think that makes sense and keeps the top of the rankings moving in legitimate fashion while they figure out what the fuck they're going to do with Hoket and his nonsense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I personally was sitting here like, give him whoever wins the Aspinall fight, but I understand that number 2 is waiting.
Right. And he's definitely earned his ability to sit there and wait if that's what he decides to do next. But if he's not going to do that next, I think him versus Pereira would make great sense all the way around.
I 100% think that Alex obviously needs to work on his gas tank at heavyweight.
Yes.
But once he gets that down, because he's been proven to show once something doesn't work, he goes back and basically fucking masters it.
He figures shit out. Yeah, he's a great Alex Pereira is a great example of I don't lose, I learn.
Right. Now,
because you have seen he's put in the legwork to show you. Every time somebody figures out how to get him with something, the first fucking thing he does after the fight is go talk to them in the back in the locker room and go, how the fuck do you do that? We've seen him do it literally half a dozen different times now. He trained with Strickland after they fought. He's trained with Izzy after they fought. Like, he 100% will figure out what was his weakness in there and then spend the next 6 months eliminating that fucking weakness. So I agree 100% there.
With that being said, I don't think anybody should have to get in the fucking ring with Cyril Gane. I don't think he should be a fucking fighter at this point. He won, air quotes, due to strikes to the back of the head. Meter, can you take 4 full-blown, full bore punches to the back of the head without being dizzy or anything like that? I know I can't.
No. Last time I checked, no, that's not a thing that I am capable of.
And when the man, like, obviously he's not wearing a prosthetic or anything like that, type of fake skin or anything, shows you a geographical map of Utah on the back of his fucking head, right down the middle of little Mr. Herb Dean's tape line. With all that being said, Alex, yes, I think number 2 makes a lot of sense. Like you said, number 2, if he sits out and waits for Alex or not Alex, but Cyril and Aspinall, makes 100%. Makes 100%, sense. But yeah. And fuck Herb Dean with every fiber of my being.
Yeah, absolutely. Herb Dean gets a big one of these.
Move this man!
So, that being said, that leaves us with just the main event. And unless you have been living under a rock for the last 2 weeks, you would know that Justin Gaethje beat Ilia Toporia's ass so bad that Ilia Toporia's brother had to throw the towel in and call the fight in between rounds. This is kind of an interesting one, in my opinion, here, because there's a couple different ways that we can go with Justin Gaethje, because he still hasn't said for sure if he's going to continue fighting or if he's going to retire as the champion and then ride off into the sunset, which is abso-fucking-lutely his prerogative at this point. If anybody has earned the right to say, I won the belt and now I'm going home and I'm retiring, Justin Gaethje earned that fucking right. If he doesn't, because he's kind of indicated that he's still thinking about fighting, depending on how a couple of fights play out coming up pretty soon, Connor, there's some interesting ways that Justin Gaethje's first potential title defense could go. Excuse me. Obviously, first and foremost, you can't have that conversation without saying Arman Tsarukyan is still right there at the fucking top. And Arman Tsarukyan versus Justin Gaethje at 155 pounds for that belt could be a very interesting fight. I say could because Arman's also very hittable, and Justin Gaethje has garbage trucks in his fucking hands, which we saw 2 weeks ago on Ilya's fucking face. So I don't necessarily know that he has won enough good grace from the UFC back to get that title fight. What I will say, as much as I love Charles Oliveira, under no fucking circumstances should they actually make Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje for the quote-unquote unification of the BMF and the 155-pound belt. For 2 reasons. 1, fuck you. No. 2, the BMF belt was never supposed to be weight class specific to begin with. It was started as a fucking welterweight belt. So to unify it with any weight class literally defeats the fucking purpose of a BMF belt to begin with, more than it already has been by its current possessor. That being said, Max Holloway is currently booked against Conor McGregor at 170 pounds fighting this weekend. That comes with an asterisk. Because if either way it goes, I'll say, if Max wins big or if Conor McGregor's, either one of them could justifiably have a claim against Justin Gaethje. Justin has said for years he wants to fight Conor, and that would be his retirement fight, because win or lose, he's going to get fucking paid. Championship money plus fighting Conor McGregor money, he's going to get paid. So that fight, the UFC would be drooling to make. On the
Where
other
is
side
Conor
of that,
even at?
Conor is currently unranked because he hasn't competed in 3 years, so he's not eligible to be ranked. You have to have
I was
fought in the
gonna
last
say,
18
how
months to be
is-
ranked. But
Sorry, I
Conor was
didn't
number
mean-
3 when he stepped away. So if Conor comes back and Conor McGregor's against Max Holloway, the UFC would absolutely jump at the chance to make Justin Gaethje versus Conor McGregor. The fight week would be fucking huge, even if the fight wasn't. So the
Right.
UFC would absolutely jump all over that. But on the other side of that coin, if Max shuts McGregor down at 170 pounds, he's got history with Gaethje.
Yeah.
He's the last man to have put Gaethje unconscious and the first man to scare him in beating him. They would absolutely run Max versus Gaethje for the belt.
I would
Yes,
love to watch
they would
that.
absolutely run that one back. So while Conor might not make as much sense from a business side, they would jump at that chance. Max would make more sense rankings wise, and they've got history. So Max is one up in that situation with one of the greatest highlights in fucking combat sports history. So they would run that one back from the UFC's point of view. I promise either one of those dudes that wins next weekend could potentially make a claim at Justin Gaethje.
I would almost bet or almost say that it is probably one of the, if not the most iconic knockout right now.
Yeah.
Who else? What other fight or what other situation has every fighter that thinks they are in love with their hands pointing down to the middle of the ring?
Right?
None of them fucking do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say nobody actually does it. Everybody wants the attention. Nobody fucking does it. But yeah,
Right.
It's literally one of the most iconic fucking moments in combat sports history for sure. So yeah, I think they either have to give Armin his fucking moment in the sun here, or tell him that he hasn't done enough yet. He's got to keep side questing, and then give the winner, it's got to be the winner of Max versus Conor, that shot, because Charles just fucking can't get it. And then below them is BSD versus Patty. And whoever wins that gets to fight LA next, I think. But we'll talk about that in a second.
Like, yeah.
So I think it's pretty much, if Justin doesn't retire, I should say, if Gaethje doesn't retire, it either has to be Armin because he's back, or we know that Armin isn't back, and then it's Max or Conor, whoever wins.
Yeah, that makes 100% sense. 100% chance sense. The giving. I understand the business side of it. I understand making Gaethje and McGregor fight would break in millions, if not billions. But I think it would leave a lot of sour taste in a lot of fighters' mouths.
I agree. I agree.
Especially if
And
he
it should.
styles off on Gaethje on some fucking whatever crazy McGregor magic he has
Yeah. No, and
left in the tank.
yeah,
and then he's
it
the champ.
absolutely should. So yeah, because if that happens, it's gonna fuck everything up for a hot minute now. Yeah,
Right.
I agree. But
And
at
then
the
he's
same
never
time-
going to shut up.
At the same time, I can promise you, the president of Paramount is sitting underneath Dana's desk, going, Justin and Conor, Justin and Conor, Justin and Conor, Justin and Conor, Justin and Conor.
Right. They'll make that a double pay-per-view.
Because yeah, those are, because that's going to be, if they make that fight, if that's what happens, that's going to be on Paramount Plus. That's going to shoot their fucking viewership numbers higher than they even thought the White House could have gotten to. So
They'll have people in, the deep jungles downloading Paramount Plus
yeah, that's going to
off
get
satellite feed.
stupid fucking numbers. So yeah, if that's how that plays out next weekend, I can almost guarantee you that's what they're going to do either way, unless they're going to let Armin back into the picture, which I don't feel like they're going to at this time, or he wouldn't have 3 RAF fucking wrestling matches booked at this point. So I feel like Armin's still on the sidelines, as he probably should be. But if that's the case, I think the winner of next weekend is going to get Justin if he doesn't retire. And I think the winner either way next weekend could be the reason that Justin decides not to retire, because the chance to get that one against Max, he's already said, irks him. It scares him, but it irks him. So he's going to want that one. And he did an interview last week and said that I've literally been saying my entire career since the UFC signed him, I would love to punch Conor McGregor in the face. And if the UFC is going to pay me to do it, that makes it that much better. That fight's already fucking sold. what would have been 12 million pay-per-views right now, and it's not even a possibility in the real world yet. So yeah, the UFC is set for Justin Gaethje if he stays. If he leaves is where it gets interesting, because if he leaves, that shakes everything up, and then we have to wait to see how this next weekend plays out. And it's most likely going to be the winner of next weekend against somebody else that we just talked about here. At that point, they would almost have to throw Armin in there unless
I was going to say it would have to be Armin. He's number 2.
Unless Patty Styles on BSD, because then that puts him right there in the lists.
Yeah.
So
I don't see how you can be number 2 and be that deep in the doghouse.
No, he fucked himself over. He stepped on the UFC's dick like 3 times in a row at the highest level possible. So he's absolutely still in the shit house, I believe, and understandably so. Yeah, when you fuck up a pay-per-view when it was still a pay-per-view for the UFC during fight week, the day before the pay-per-view event, on top of numerous other things, all within a short window of time, you're definitely in the fucking doghouse still. So we'll see how that one plays out. The other side of this coin, though, is Ilia Topuria not only took his first ever professional loss, he got absolutely fucking obliterated to the point where he admitted that he couldn't see, and his brother, as a cornerman, had to throw in the towel and stop the fight for them. Understandably so, because he had the shit beat out of him by Justin Gaethje. The question is, where do we go with him from here? Because the last 2 fights that he had were Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira. We can't run the Charles Oliveira fight back. Charles hasn't done anything since then. We can't run that one back. The BMF thing doesn't get him a run back with Ilia. We can't do the Max replay because Max is fighting Conor this weekend and then potentially fighting for the belt that Ilia just lost. So that puts us in an interesting situation with Ilia here. In Ilia's case, I think it would actually make sense that if Armin is still in the doghouse, you make him fight Ilia. Ilia wants to come back. You can't make Ilia fight too far down after just losing the belt yet. You still got to give him a chance to stay in the top 5 or so.
Off of a perfect record.
Yeah, coming off the perfect record, having 6 knockouts in a row of former champions in a row, you got to give him a chance to stay top 5-ish. Let him fight Armin, even if Armin's in the doghouse. Let him deal with Armin, because if Armin can beat Ilia at this point, then he solidifies himself as the next dude up. If he can't, right, Ilia stays where he is, and Armin proves that he should have never gotten up that high to begin with. But if they're not going to do that, if they are going to let Armin potentially see where he can go next, get him out of the doghouse, I think that is the perfect opportunity for the winner of Patty versus BSD. Because Patty and Ilia had a fight at a fighter's hotel in London 4 years ago now, I think it was, and have had beef ever since. That fight literally made itself 4 years ago. Now we're at the top of the rankings, and it makes sense rankings-wise as well. On the other side of that, if BSD handles Patty, he's number 5 starting. He's going to go up into the top 3, I would assume, with a win over Patty. There's Ilia's next fight. The guy that just beat the guy that Ilia was beefing with. They're in the top 5, puts themselves in the title contention picture for the next round of title fight at 55. Keeps everybody moving, keeps the division from getting stale, lets everybody know where everybody sits, and then we can go from there. I don't give a fuck how many times he says it. There is no reason to give him an immediate rematch.
No.
Nothing about that fight says Ilya's going to go adjust his game plan Alex Pereira style. Nothing.
I didn't even get to watch that fight. I got to watch a whole bunch of highlights the next morning, and the one thing that sticks out in my mind is the picture of Taporia getting into the ambulance and the look on his face. And they had a picture of the Geico caveman right next to him. And you would have thought they were fucking brothers.
Yeah, it was fucking rough.
He beat the brakes off that boy.
He beat him into another person because he did not look like Ilya Taporia anymore when Justin Gaethje was done with him. Justin told him he was going to leave his mark on his face, and he did. Even Ilya.
I heard Gaethje say, I was getting my ass kicked in the second round, but then I just found something in the third. And yeah, no, it was. Yeah, the highlights were crazy to watch. I wish I would have stayed up to watch it.
It was insane, but I think that gives us a pretty good breakdown of what everybody thought and where we think everybody is going to go from there. Do you have any closing thoughts for the final folks?
No, just get ready for next week. We got a pregame show.
Yep.
Coming to you guys, and yeah. Other than that, keep an eye on the meter because he does many things. He always has his hands in a little bit of everything. And have a great week.
I agree. If you are new here and somehow found this first and foremost, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. If you liked it, give it a like. If you didn't, no big deal. If you did like it, subscribe. We do this kind of show pretty much every week. There are fights to talk about. We generally go live Thursday nights. Usually we're closer to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. This was a special show with special conditions, so we started a little bit late this evening, but we usually kick off about 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We do go live both on youtube.com/@ImNoJoe, also twitch.tv/ImNoJoe. We dual stream the video there, so you can catch it on whichever platform is easiest for you to use. If you don't get to catch us live, both platforms do get to keep the replays up as long as they stay live as well. If you miss the replay on purpose, I understand that. We also own mirrors, and for that reason, the week after we go live, I put the all audio version up on anchor.fm/ImNoJoe. You can go there and pick it up to your podcast consumption platform of choice. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever you use to listen to shit, it is up there for free, just like it is to view on either one of those platforms. If you really like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, tell a friend. We love to try and grow the show organically. I ain't buying no fucking followers. But more importantly, patreon.com/ImNoJoe. For as little as $1 a month, as much as you are comfortable giving, you literally help us do what we do around here. And in exchange for that, at any patronage level, we give you access to the unaired and unairable content. Everything that got ImNoJoe kicked off of OnlyFans is up on the behind the scenes section, as well as your name going up on the end of every broadcast to let everyone know how awesome you are, and exclusive Patreon only content as well. So you get your money's worth, and we appreciate you. The other side of that coin, though, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you doing this deep into a podcast that you didn't enjoy? Give it a thumbs down and go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. That being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode. Stay tuned. Next week, we will be back with a regular show, regular time. We have got UFC 329 coming up to talk about, which means we will hopefully, if everything works out, have an episode with The Pit to end out next week's show, as well as, like he mentioned over there, an episode of the pregame show kicking off Saturday, 1 hour before the pay-per-view starts, where Flintlock and myself will be back here to bring you into the prelims with the latest of all the news going on right before those fights start, getting you up-to-date information, making you an informed fight fan. That being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything.
kung fu fighting. Those kicks were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.